Hello and welcome to the Witness History podcast from the BBC World Service. I'm Mike Lanshin. Today we're going back to 1992, when Paraguay became the only country in Latin America with two official languages, Spanish and the widely spoken Guarani. The move ended years of rejection and discrimination towards the majority speakers of the indigenous language. This is an 85-year-old recording of José Asunción Flores, Paraguay's legendary composer and creator of the guarania music genre. Here Flores is introducing one of his songs in Guarani. He sings some of its melody. Guarania music, known for its slow, melancholic rhythms and often sung in a mixture of Spanish and Guarani, was credited with playing a crucial role in keeping the indigenous language alive in Paraguay in the early 20th century. Today, Guarani is the most widely spoken indigenous language in South America. It's spoken by 6.5 million people, mainly in Paraguay.
Bueno, acá Serera David Galeano Olivera.
This is David Olivera, head of Paraguay's Guarani Cultural Institute. He's telling me his name in Guarani, that he lives in a town just outside Asunción, the capital, and he says he's very happy to be able to share his story. Growing up, David says, it was his first and only language.
Guarani es la lengua materna de la población paraguaya.
Guarani is the mother language for many Paraguayans. My parents and grandparents were Guarani speakers. I learned Spanish only when I started the school. For the first 6 or 7 years, all I heard was Guarani.
For many children in a similar situation, David says, that obviously put them at a huge disadvantage.
Muchos niños guaraní hablantes quedaron fuera de la escuela, porque iban a la escuela, no entendían nada y abandonaban.
Lots of Guarani-speaking kids will have to leave school because they couldn't manage. That was one of the biggest reasons for children dropping out of school. The whole education system was in Spanish. The classes were only in Spanish, the books in Spanish, and the exams only in Spanish.
In the 1960s and 70s, when David was going through school, Paraguay, like many South American countries, was under military rule. The dictatorship of General Alfredo Stroessner didn't ban speaking Guarani. In fact, many soldiers came from poor Guarani-speaking families. But it was seen as backward by Paraguay's ruling classes.
Había una especie de castigo, de advertencia verbal.
There was like a verbal punishment towards anyone speaking Guarani, mainly coming from what I would call the economic elite here in the capital. They saw speaking Spanish as something cultured, and people who spoke Guarani were guarangos, or peasants. The elite tried to suppress Guarani for political reasons, to keep Guarani speakers living in ignorance, and then easily manipulate them.
David was fortunate. His father insisted that he take Guarani classes at secondary school, rather than English or French. He was enrolled at the only school in the capital which offered that option. And it was there that David began his lifelong commitment to promoting his mother tongue.
A mí me tocó ser presidente de esa academia.
I became president of a Guarani group at the school. We wrote poetry and stories. It was an opportunity to give life to the language that we all knew. After finishing secondary school, I got my teaching qualifications and began giving Guarani classes.
David went on to create the country's first Guarani Institute. This was the mid-1980s, and although the military was still in charge, Paraguay was, many people thought, slowly opening up. But when David publicly criticised the authorities for neglecting the indigenous language, he discovered to his peril that things weren't changing that fast.
Tenía un alumno que era policía y él me informó, me dijo, profesor, no vayas.
I had a student who was a police officer, and he contacted me one day and said, "Don't go to the university tonight. The police are coming for you." So I didn't go and went into hiding. Another friend in the police told me there was an arrest warrant out for me for having criticized the government, and that I had been labeled a communist.
Being called a communist in Paraguay at that time could lead to arrest, or even worse. Fortunately for David, by 1989, General Stroessner's 30-year rule had been ended by a coup. David's arrest warrant was lost in the ensuing chaos. And what's more, the new democratic leaders began discussing the possibility of a new constitution. That, says David, presented a golden opportunity.
Nosotros teníamos un equipo de unas 15.
We were a team of 15 going each day to present our case to the 200 or so delegates discussing the constitutional reforms, waiting for them by their offices to talk to them or hand them new documents explaining why we thought Guarani should be made an official language.
And were you confident that the changes would be made?
Teníamos una visión así optimista, pero
We were confident, but in Paraguay, you don't believe it until you see it. On the day before the final vote, we gathered in the street with banners, making noise, so everyone knew we were there.
Constitución de la República del Paraguay. Preámbulo. El pueblo paraguayo.
When the new constitution was unveiled, to his delight, David heard that Guarani had been officially recognized.
Invocando a Dios, reconociendo la dignidad.
I imagine you felt or feel huge satisfaction, David. So what does it mean for Guarani to be made an official language?
Claro, por supuesto que sí, más todavía cuando
Yes, I was very pleased. More so because we haven't had any help from the state. Today in the universities, you will find Guarani speakers on every course. A doctor, a lawyer, or a journalist cannot work without understanding Guarani. People come to us asking, "Where can I learn Guarani?" which didn't happen before. Most official documents are now in Guarani, and most official activities are in both languages. That's so common now that no one even notices.
So just a last question, David. Is it easy to learn Guarani?
Con respecto al castellano, el guaraní es, sin exagerar, 10 veces más fácil.
Compared with the Spanish, it's much easier. It's only got 4 rules of spelling and only has 6 irregular verbs. You will find it easy, especially speaking English or French. In Guarani, the adjectives don't have to agree with the number or be masculine or feminine.
So how would I say, "My name is Mike"?
Severa Mike.
Severa Mike.
Herrera Mike.
Severa Mike.
En mi caso es Herrera David. Herrera David, sí.
David Olivera still works tirelessly promoting the culture and language he's dedicated his life to, and to teaching Guarani. He's currently running an online course for students around the world. He was talking to me, Mike Lanshin, for this Witness History podcast, which was a CTVC production for BBC World Service.
Ay, piko emi, bau putau,